respectively. All right, joining me now is CNN political commentator and Republican strategist Shermichael Singleton and former federal prosecutor Shan Wu. Thank you both for joining us early this morning to talk through all of this Epstein saga that keeps on going. Shan, I actually want to start with you, if that's all right, just to talk about this latest development on the legal side. Now that the Justice Department has asked the judge to release this grand jury material, can you explain what might happen next and, frankly, what the likelihood is that we might see any of this testimony?
Well, they'll have to redact it if the judge grants it, and the judge may grant it. I mean, there's a pretty conservative strategy in how much grand jury testimony you want to release, because the purpose of the grand jury materials being secret is to protect people's reputations and protect witnesses who might be harmed by it. So obviously here, if there are victims, particularly underage ones, you have to keep that quiet. But the standard that the judge is going to weigh, given that the Maxwell case is over, his assistant Gitling is in jail for it, and also Epstein himself is dead, so there can't be any compromising of the case against him. It's going to be a question of the public interest, and very strong public interest. So the judge may release that, but Pam Bawdy, DOJ, is going to have a lot of control over what they're asking to release. So whether we'll get a full picture of everything in the grand jury investigation, that's pretty unlikely, although the judge is likely, I think, to probably grant some of that request.
Sure, Michael. The DOJ memo that basically said nothing to see here regarding Epstein came out on July 7th. And we, the president, many of President Trump's supporters, have not been able to stop talking about it for basically 2 weeks straight. Is transparency from perhaps this grand jury testimony, will that be enough to stop at least Trump's base from talking about the story?
It depends on what's in it, right? I mean, for some people, it may be enough to sort of satisfy that curiosity. As Shan just stated, if there are significant redactions, then for others, they're going to say, well, yeah, this is a little bit, but we want to see a bit more. That's sort of a part of the conundrum with this. It was sort of a campaign promise that the president made to be transparent about this issue. And now you have a lot of people asking about it. And so for me as a strategist, if I were advising the White House on this, and the president in particular, I'm looking at this from two different lanes here, Danny. I'm looking at trying to appease the base, but then I'm also considering variables of, if we release this and we don't release enough of it, then you still have curiosity. If we release too much of it, then you may inadvertently embarrass some people that's not a part of the intended consequences. And so this is a bit of a challenge, but I will say this, Danny, that Wall Street Journal article does present a unique opportunity to coalesce the base around the president to try to strategically move the needle in a different direction. And that's something that, again, if I was a strategist involved and engaged with this, that's something that I would probably put more of an emphasis on to try to move the needle in a different direction.
Well, Shermichael, I want to stay with you on this for a second, because I was talking with another guest in the last hour about this. I think it was Steve Bannon who said to CNN, we're on offense now, right, because of this Wall Street Journal story in particular.
Yep.
But a reporter I spoke with in the last hour said that congressional Republicans, at least those who are trying to get a resolution passed about transparency and Epstein on the House floor, they're still committed to this. So do you think Bannon is correct that there is a new sense of unity because of this Wall Street Journal story?
Oh, absolutely. And members in the House may be focused on this a little bit, but when phone calls start to ring and it's their base saying, well, wait a minute here, why aren't you standing behind and supporting the president? I think that their mood and temperament will change pretty quickly. I mean, the Wall Street Journal writes this article. They don't release photos of this alleged little doodle that the president allegedly made. They didn't really say, well, we heard this from this person and we verified the claims of this individual. I mean, there are a lot of legitimate questions, Danny, to ask, even if you don't like Donald Trump, to say, well, hey, if you guys are going to publish this, can we at least verify the veracity of these claims? And so, again, if you're advising Trump, you're part of the White House, you're talking to Bannon, you're talking to Laura Loomer, you're talking to all of those very ardent supporters to try to make sure that everyone is in sync on the messaging so that they can then in turn communicate to the base and put that pressure on Republicans to coalesce and protect the president.
Well, and Shan, meanwhile, we have this new lawsuit that Trump has filed against the Wall Street Journal and Rubert Murdoch's larger company for libel here. What's your take on this? Does this lawsuit, as it stands for $20 billion, stand a chance in court?
It stands a really poor chance in court. I mean, the legal standard is going to be actual malice, meaning that the plaintiff Trump has to show that the journal either knew it was all false, published it anyway, or they acted with reckless disregard, didn't bother to even do rudimentary fact checking on it. And to Shermichael's point about them not showing the photo, rather the drawing, that alone isn't going to carry the day. The thing is with Trump, though, I mean, first of all, the legal standards don't seem to matter to him and his legal team very much. And, it's more in Shermichael's box there to figure out the political strategy behind him wielding the lawsuit this way. As a legal matter, ridiculous lawsuit should get dismissed right away. But he has had a tendency, because he's in such a unique position. I mean, being the president of the United States, wielding DOJ, in this case, as a private citizen at the same time, taking the public stance of suing for the libel. It's highly ahistorical to be able to do this. So the legal standards are really against him. But I think the case is nonetheless has legs for it just because of who he is. Now, I'm not sure his legal team and him, again, really not thinking through the legal strategy or not caring about it more accurately. He is the one who has the burden of proof. He has to sit for the depositions. There's some Supreme Court ruling saying the civil case could get stayed, although he brought the civil case while he's president of the United States. He'll have to sit there and talk about his relationship with Epstein. I really kind of doubt he wants to go through that. And finally, I mean, there's no way the Wall Street Journal did this without having just an army of lawyers vetted. There has been reporting that they were going based on evidence that DOJ had already looked at. So I think they're going to be a pretty solid ground, legally speaking.
Right. Well, and I think both to the political element that Shermichael was talking about and to what you're talking about, Shan, I think that there's a possibility that the Wall Street Journal is also not done reporting out this story. But either way, we're not done talking about this story. Yeah. Last word, very quickly, Shermichael, we got to go.
Just really, really quickly here. Politically, even if they aren't done talking about this story, the significant amount of pressure that the White House and Republicans who are in support of the president will place on anything that Rupert Murdoch owns, from the Wall Street Journal to Fox News to Fox Business, will absolutely feel the brunt force of those viewers who they obviously need. So they need to be very careful here from a business perspective, because you can see a significant decrease in viewership, which really obviously impacts Rupert Murdoch's bottom line.
Again, I think we're going to be very much going into another week of talking about this story quite a bit more. Shermichael Singleton, Shan Wu, thank you both so much for getting up early this morning. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Danny.